Lethal Company is a new co-op survival horror game developed solely by a user that goes by Zeekers. Proving a single developer can make a more original and compelling game than an army of 3,000, I think we can all agree this is a big win for furries everywhere and ultimately a loss for the world. Lethal Company is a game about a future where humanity has failed. I'm not saying that as someone who spent a great deal of time trawling through the various little nuggets of lore that this game throws at you. I'm saying that because it's something you can feel throughout every inch of this game's presentation. Traveling around a series of different moons in order to gather pieces of actual junk from the bowels of endless dark industrial hallways. None of the moons were built for you to inhabit, and the game pulls no punches in letting you know that, whether it be through magnetic blasts, acts of God, or the seemingly endless amount of horrifying creatures that want nothing more than to see your terrified face as they engulf your entire body. It's like every moon is the ocean, sometimes not so metaphorically. The only relatively safe place is your ship. Relatively being the key word here, because last night I got kidnapped by this huge giant I've never seen before who turned me into a real-life Krabby Patty, the secret formula being the junk that filled half of our quota and my muffled screams. He's got me! He's got me! He's got me! He's eating me! He's eating me! The game is simple in its approach. You have 3 days to meet the company quota displayed neatly above your ship's engine control or risk termination without pay. Lethal Company goes for the more realistic style of progression. Once you die, that's it. To fulfill your garbage quota and collect your equally garbage paycheck, you need to venture into the main buildings of the planets, which will soon become your own personal creepypasta. This is when the game's proximity chat really shines. As soon as you enter one of these, you'll immediately notice the echo on everyone's voice, which will become far more clear when you hear their screams. The real strength of Lethal Company is the moment-to-moment gameplay, which is brilliantly held together with the proximity chat. When your crew all dies and you're left completely alone, you're alone. No one's there to tell you what happened or what might be lurking around the corner for you. I think most people would say the scariest part of the game is hearing your friends scream, but I think it's the silence. You know, one moment you're making your way down the dark corridors, joking and laughing, until suddenly none of your crew are responding. Frantically calling out in the hope you'll eventually hear someone call back to you, your efforts are proven futile because your entire crew just got dragged into the abyss by one of the many horrible creatures hanging around here. Either that or they just jumped down there themselves. Hardy.
Oh shit, did Hardy just die?
Yeah, he just died.
He just went for it. He didn't even think about it, dude. He was like, I've had enough. I'm just gonna pencil dive into this abyss.
I jumped onto this thing and I'm just running across. Oh no. I saw that, dude. You fucking idiot. Yeah, Hardy's just done a Hardy and just jumped down there.
Oh. Hey, well.
What is that?
Oh, dude. Every time you just suicide on me, dude. It's like you don't even want to play the game anymore. I'll never forget one of the first moments I had in this game, hearing what sounded like my friend trying to scream through a pillow. Turns out it was an enemy that hangs from the ceiling, and when you pass by, it drops onto your face and grips onto it like its life depends on it. There's something horribly humorous about the ways the proximity chat changes depending on what's happening. If you're in your own personal Vor snuff film, you better believe it's going to sound like the voices are coming from the inside of an unidentified enemy. Because of how often you're dying, the quota gets increasingly harder to obtain, creating an even more intense atmosphere. Whoa, run, he's got me, he's got me!
Oh no.
You know, when you're deep into the endless industrial maze and you have enough junk to fulfill your quota, your desire to get out hits an all-time high, similar to your heart rate.
Oh, it's got me. I'm gonna die. It's got me.
Oh my god!
It's a physical injury.
Here's the problem. Your ship automatically takes off at midnight and you have no idea which way you came from.
Are we going the right way? Well, we're going down, so that must be right.
Mustering all your effort and dodging hordes of enemies like a quarterback in some kind of Squid Game, you eventually find a fire escape which takes you out just around the back of the entrance. But a sentence you will be repeating a lot when you play this game is, there's another problem. You've spent so long inside that it's now dark, and that huge boulder appears to be moving. Wait, that's not a boulder, that's a massive demon, and it just slurped up all my brain with a silly straw. Each day you're venturing to new moons looking for greener pastures, but the only green you're seeing is this blob thing. To sell your items, you must travel to the company headquarters where you will deposit your precious trash via a hatch in the concrete wall, where strange tendrils will sweep away the goodies and send you back on your way out into the cold void of space. That is if they don't decide to murder you. Days are short, Junk is scarce, everything is a threat. The game does a fantastic job of making you feel small and worthless, not that I needed any aid in that. The visuals make it hard to see anything properly, and the game is not fucking around when it comes to darkness. If there's no light source, then you're blinder than a thalidomide baby. What little music exists in the game is all fantastically bleak. It all sounds like a bitter approximation of what some unspeakable being thinks might bring some pallid gratification to the frail human mind. I mean, just listen to the sound that plays from the drop pod that delivers your items. If you're ever feeling lost and alone out there, remember, press 1 to dance.
Welcome to our disciplinary process.
See you guys. Your ship acts as the control center, letting you see a blip of where your friends are, or more commonly, where they were. Here's a tip: if they're not moving, they're certainly dead. When you start to fill a few quotas, the tension you'll feel exploring these wastelands will grow at the same time. You might want to consider keeping someone at the ship who can hightail it out of there if things get too dicey, saving any of the junk you have stored that would have been lost otherwise. Once you've purchased a couple of walkie-talkies, this lets you talk to your shipman so he can inform you just how fucked you are. Another addition is your console, which has its own built-in Pokédex, with a list of all the creatures you've seen so far, each one having its own unique ways of fucking with you. There's nothing that's more terrifying than seeing this message while you're deep below. In the eyes of Lethal Company, humanity is doomed. There are no hyper-advanced civilizations, there are no Jedi, everything we built collapsed. No one learnt their lesson, everyone just gave in. For all the smug nihilism of Lethal Company, I think it's actually a game that gives us all a reason to feel hopeful. The game doesn't just stand on the shoulders of giants, it takes one look at the giants and says fuck you and straps on a jetpack. At the core of its lovable old school presentation lie a bunch of new school design decisions that demonstrate how well the developer of this game has been paying attention to the indie horror space over the last few years. This is a game that elegantly incorporates elements of Five Nights at Freddy's, Among Us, and even that weirdly popular Slenderman game they shut out once. And if you haven't yet played this game, I really couldn't recommend it more. I'd like to finish by presenting a quote from the French author and OG edgelord Albert Camus. This universe, henceforth, without a master, seems to him neither sterile nor futile. Each atom of that stone, each mineral flake of that night-filled mountain, in itself forms a world. The struggle itself towards the heights is enough to fill a man's heart. One must imagine Sisyphus happy.